It looked like a dog, but it wasn't a dog.
Note him!
If one of us isn't human, we've already lost. The silence of the Antarctic plains is broken by the distant roar of a helicopter. A lone husky cuts through the snow, sprinting with unnatural focus. Behind it, the chopper gives chase. Inside, a frantic Norwegian man leans out with a rifle, trying to shoot the dog. His aim is wild, desperate, as if his life depends on it. The dog is agile, weaving through the snowdrifts, always just out of reach. Miles away, at an American research outpost, the day is quiet. Inside one of the base's prefab buildings, R.J. McCready, the station's helicopter pilot, sits alone. He's hunched over a computer playing chess. The game ends with the computer winning, and Mac, frustrated, pours his glass of scotch into the console, shorting it out. "Cheating bitch," he mutters, standing up. Outside, the buzz of the approaching helicopter grows louder. The dog is headed straight for the base. The Americans notice it first, then the chopper behind. Alarms go up. The husky arrives, calm and seemingly harmless. It walks into the base compound without hesitation, brushing past researchers who are confused but not alarmed. Seconds later, the helicopter lands abruptly, skidding in the snow. The man inside throws open the door, rifle in hand. The Americans rush out to see what's happening. The Norwegian shouts something unintelligible, his words lost in panic and language. He takes out a grenade, pulls the pin, but it slips from his glove and drops into the snow. He scrambles to retrieve it, but it explodes beside the helicopter, killing the pilot and destroying the aircraft in a fireball. Shaken but alive, the man keeps yelling, pointing his rifle at the husky, now sitting quietly among the Americans. McCready steps forward, trying to calm the situation. The Norwegian fires. The bullet misses the dog and hits one of the Americans, Bennings, in the leg. Instinctively, Commander Gary draws his pistol and fires once. The shot hits the Norwegian in the head, dropping him instantly. Silence falls over the base again, broken only by Bennings' groans and the crackle of the helicopter fire outside. No one understands what just happened. A man shows up out of nowhere, tries to kill a harmless dog, shoots one of them, and ends up dead. The Americans are left with more questions than answers. They gather around the wreckage. The helicopter is a total loss. Equipment and supplies burn away in the flames. Dr. Copper tends to Bennings' leg while Gary and McCready talk. The Norwegian's behavior was too erratic to ignore. Maybe it was isolation, the cold, something snapped. But Copper isn't so sure. He points out that the Norwegians have only been stationed out here a short time, not long enough to go stir-crazy. He suggests they fly over to the Norwegian base to figure out what's going on. McCready warns him that a storm's rolling in. Flying now is risky. Copper insists this could be serious. The husky, quiet all along, watches them leave, eyes following McCready and Copper as they board their own helicopter and take off into the gray sky. Inside the base, the dog roams the halls freely. At one point, it steps into the dim quarters of an unsuspecting crew member. No one notices. In the air, McCready flies low over the landscape, the wind picking up. When they finally reach the Norwegian base, it's clear something went wrong. The place is burned out, half collapsed, smoke still clinging to the ruins. Blood stains the snow and walls. Inside, they find bodies. One man with his throat and wrists slashed, a straight razor in his hand. It looks like a suicide, but the expression on his face is terror, not despair. Copper collects the Norwegian research notes. McCready finds a video camera still intact. In the back of the station, they find something worse, a massive hollow in the ice where something had been cut out. A slab of it, clean and square, is missing. Nearby, they find a charred body, deformed, twisted, almost human but not quite. Two faces seem melted together. The thing was burned deliberately. Mac points to a nearby fuel can. Whoever did this wanted to make sure it was destroyed. They take the body back with them. At the American base, the rest of the crew goes about their routine. Clark, the dog handler, gives the husky a pat and lets it settle in. No one questions its presence anymore. The dead Norwegian is zipped into a body bag. No answers yet, only a growing sense that something's not right. And somewhere in the darkness of the base, the dog keeps watching, waiting. The body from the Norwegian camp is laid out on a metal table in the American base's lab. It's grotesque, twisted limbs, a partially formed human face stretched unnaturally across scorched flesh. The senior biologist Blair begins the autopsy, cutting carefully into the charred mass. What he finds beneath the ruined skin is baffling. Organs, lungs, heart, liver, everything appears normal, human. But the configuration isn't right. It's as if something tried to copy a human body from the inside out and didn't quite get it right. Elsewhere, the husky is still roaming freely through the station. Clark, who's bonded with the dog, finally takes it to the kennel to join the other sled dogs. The moment the door shuts, the other dogs growl and back away. The husky sits silently in the corner, staring. Then its head splits open. Flesh tears, bone cracks, and from inside, long, slick tendrils whip out. The dog's body convulses as it changes, morphing into something monstrous, barely recognizable as anything that once walked the earth. The other dogs panic, barking wildly as the creature attacks, absorbing them in a writhing, pulsing mess of flesh and fluid. One manages to escape the cage and rushes out, howling. Clark hears the commotion and opens the kennel door, just long enough to see the nightmare inside. He slams it shut, yelling for help. McCready arrives and immediately sounds the alarm. He orders Childs to get the flamethrower. The others gather outside the kennel, stunned by the grotesque sounds coming from within. Sickening slurps, snarls, and something else. Something inhuman. Childs bursts in, sees the creature mid-transformation. Its flesh shifting, teeth forming and dissolving. For a moment, he freezes, the horror almost too much. Then he pulls the trigger and unleashes a blast of fire. The alien screams as it burns, its limbs flailing, its form trying to escape the flames but failing. The kennel fills with smoke. When it's over, only charred remains are left, twitching in the embers. Everyone is silent. No one speaks until Blair steps forward, visibly shaken. He begins examining what's left. The conclusion is clear and terrifying. This thing isn't a creature in the traditional sense. It's an organism that perfectly imitates other life forms, right down to the cells. The team realizes what that means. It wasn't just pretending to be a dog, it was the dog. It had replaced the original, moved among them unnoticed. Worse, it had time. Clark had spent hours with it, alone. Blair quietly draws blood from the one surviving dog in the kennel. While doing so, he watches Clark from the corner of his eye, already suspicious. Later, MacReady reviews the Norwegian videotapes. The grainy footage shows the Norwegians cutting through thick ice with thermite charges. Then they find it, a spaceship buried deep beneath the surface. In one clip, they extract a massive block of ice from the crater. That must be the missing slab they found earlier. Using coordinates from the notes, Mac and Copper take a helicopter to the site. What they find confirms everything. A massive, saucer-like spacecraft, half unearthed from the ice. Nearby is the spot where the block of ice was removed. Copper estimates it's been buried for over 100,000 years. Mac suggests the creature inside the ship must have escaped and frozen until the Norwegians defrosted it. Back at the station, tension rises. Knowles complains that someone's thrown a pair of shredded long underwear in the kitchen trash. It's the kind of thing no one wants to think about, but everyone is now watching each other too closely to ignore it. Blair runs a computer simulation using the data from the autopsy. The results are grim. If even one imitation creature reaches civilization, the world could be overrun in less than 3 years. The computer estimates there's already a 75% chance someone in the crew is no longer human. Just one cell is enough to infect a host. It spreads silently, perfectly, until it's too late. He isolates the creature's remains in a locked storage room and orders the door sealed. Fuchs, one of the assistant biologists, approaches MacReady with quiet urgency. He's been reading Blair's notes and they're disturbing. Blair has locked himself in his lab. He won't speak to anyone. In his writings, he theorizes that the alien species might have done this before, moving from world to world, taking over life forms. He also writes that there is still cellular activity in the scorched remains. The creature isn't fully dead. Not yet. Meanwhile, Bennings, still recovering from his gunshot wound, is left alone with the storage room containing the burned bodies. Palmer walks in later and finds him mid-transformation. His skin shifting, his hands distorted, his body half-consumed. Palmer shouts for help. Mac and Fuchs arrive just as Bennings, or what used to be him, escapes the room and flees into the snow. They corner him outside. He looks almost human, almost normal, except for his hands, which are grotesque claws, and his expression, a mix of confusion and blank malice. As he opens his mouth, a guttural, inhuman shriek escapes. MacReady doesn't hesitate. He douses Bennings in fuel and sets him on fire. The creature thrashes in the snow, howling, before collapsing into ash. Afterward, Mac orders that every piece of alien tissue, every body, every fragment, be taken outside and incinerated. They burn it all, leaving nothing behind. But the damage is done. The next time Mac heads outside, he finds Blair with an axe. smashing the controls of the base's only helicopter. Before anyone can stop him, Blair moves on to the radio room, destroying equipment, shooting at anyone who gets close. When they finally corner him, he shouts what everyone's already thinking. That thing wants to get out. If it does, we're all dead. Everyone's dead. Mac manages to subdue him, and they lock him in the tool shed. Inside, Blair paces like a caged animal, calm now. When Mac leaves, Blair offers a last cryptic warning. Watch Clark. He was alone with that dog. No one sleeps that night. Tension tightens around the station like a noose. No one talks unless they have to. No one shares food. Everyone watches everyone else. The alien could look like anyone now. Could be anyone. They've already burned one imitation. There could be more. In the main room, the crew argues over how to figure out who's still human. Dr. Copper proposes a blood test. If they mix uncontaminated blood with blood from someone who's been imitated, there should be a reaction. MacReady agrees, but insists they need a secure supply to run the test. They all turn to the blood storage. It's locked. Only Copper and Commander Gary have access. But when they arrive, the small refrigerator's been broken into. Every bag of blood is destroyed, slashed, drained, useless. The room explodes into shouting. Someone's covering their tracks. Copper says he didn't do it. Gary swears he didn't either. But someone had keys. Either one of them is lying or someone else found a way in. Windows panics. He storms down the hall to grab a gun, yelling that they can't trust anyone. Gary intercepts him, forces him to drop the weapon. The air is heavy with mistrust. Gary looks around the room and quietly hands his gun to MacReady. I guess you'd better take over, Mac. Leadership shifts. Mac takes charge without hesitation. He has Copper, Gary, and Clark all sedated and restrained, just in case. Then he calls on Fuchs, one of the more level-headed scientists, to work on an alternative way to test for the imitation. Fuchs agrees. He doesn't trust anyone else, so he starts isolating himself in his lab to work. Later, in a small office, Mac sits in front of a tape recorder. He speaks calmly into the mic, documenting everything, in case no one makes it out. He talks about the blood, the Bennings incident, and the way the alien destroys clothing when it takes someone over. That torn pair of long underwear found earlier, someone's been turned, and they're hiding it. Fuchs interrupts. He tells Mac the results of his latest research. Even a single cell from the creature is enough to replicate a full organism. That means any contamination, food, utensils, shared tools could infect them. From now on, everyone cooks their own meals. No sharing, only cans. Mac nods. But as he leaves, someone cuts the power to Fuchs' lab. The lights go out. Fuchs lights a flare, hears a noise. He steps into the hallway, chasing a figure that disappears around a corner. In the snow outside, he finds something half-buried, a torn jacket with MacReady's name on it. He never makes it back. When Mac learns that Fuchs is missing, he takes windows and knolls to search for him. They fan out into the storm. Eventually, they find what's left, Fuchs' body, burned to a crisp, a flare lying beside him. Looks like he lit himself on fire. Couldn't take the risk of being taken over. They return to the base, shaken. As they approach, Mac notices a strange glow coming from his shack. The light is on. He hadn't been in there for hours. He and Knowles go to check it out, but as the storm thickens, time slips by. An hour later, they still haven't returned. Inside the base, Childs is watching the clock. The longer Mac is gone, the more suspicious it seems. Knowles eventually stumbles back through the door, alone. He says he got separated in the whiteout and found a shredded jacket with Mac's name on it. He left Mac behind on purpose, thought he'd turned. Childs gives the order to seal all doors. No one else comes in. Minutes later, there's pounding at the door. It's Mac. He's covered in snow, furious. They won't let him in. He breaks a window, climbs through with a bundle of dynamite in hand and a flare ready to light. Anybody touches me, we all go. The crew freezes. He's serious. They surround him, trying to calm him down, but suddenly Norris, the quiet, heavy-set crewman, collapses. Mac, not wanting to seem inhuman, allows Dr. Copper to attend to him. Everyone watches as Copper tries to resuscitate Norris with a defibrillator. The first jolt fails. On the second, Norris's chest opens up like a trap, jagged teeth ripping through flesh and bone. Copper's arms are bitten off in a spray of blood. Norris isn't Norris anymore. The creature rises, half-formed and screaming. Mac lights the flamethrower and burns it mid-transformation. But it isn't over. While everyone's recovering, something crawls across the floor. Norris's head has torn itself free. It sprouts legs, eyes darting side to side, and scuttles like a spider toward the door. One of the men screams. Mac turns and torches it before it can escape. That's when he realizes something new. Every part of this creature wants to survive. It's not just a whole, it's made of parts. Each cell, each limb, each drop of blood has its own instinct. He has an idea. They're going to test everyone's blood. Mac orders the remaining crew tied up. He explains the plan. A hot wire. If the blood belongs to the creature, even a single cell will try to get away from the heat. Human blood will just sit there. He tests samples one by one. Tense silence after each one. The men flinch when the wire goes in, but nothing happens. Then he gets to Palmer. The blood leaps. The cup explodes. Palmer, still tied to the chair, begins shaking violently, morphing. His face splits open. Tentacles erupt. Windows panics, tries to run, but Palmer grabs him, slamming him into the ceiling, then the wall. Mac burns them both. Windows is too far gone. Another imitation, confirmed. They regroup. The test works. One by one, Mac clears the others. Gary, Knowles, Childs, all human. Clark, who Mac shot earlier when he lunged at him with a scalpel, had passed. He was human all along. But there's one left to test. Blair. He's been alone in the tool shed for hours, and no one knows what he's been doing in there. The wind outside never stops. It howls over the ruins of the American station, ripping through broken walls and snow-caked windows. Inside, what remains of the crew is stripped to the edge of trust, of warmth, of hope. McCready tightens the grip on his flamethrower as he, Gary, and Knowles trudge across the frozen yard to the tool shed. Blair doesn't respond when they call his name. They open the door. The room is empty. A hole in the floor explains why. They descend into the dark with flashlights. Below the shed, they find a tunnel carved through the ice. It stretches deep beneath the base, farther than Blair could have dug alone. At the end is a chamber. In it, welded from helicopter parts and scrap metal, is a ship. Not big, but enough. Enough to get somewhere warm, enough to spread. They set charges and torch the place. When they emerge, the wind is stronger. The generator's out. The temperature will drop fast now. They head back, but something's wrong. Childs is missing. He was supposed to be guarding the entrance. Mac calls his name into the blizzard. No response. Only snow and wind. Time runs out. The lights flicker, then die. The base is swallowed in cold and shadow. Mac gathers what's left. Dynamite, Molotovs, whatever they can use. He looks at Gary and Knowles. We're not getting out of here alive, but neither is that thing. They don't argue. One by one, they move through the base, setting explosives. Molotovs burn in trash cans, pushing back the dark. The silence is thick now. Every step echoes. Somewhere in the shadows, the thing is watching. Maybe it's one of them already. Maybe it's waiting. Either way, the end is coming. Knowles is the first to vanish. He rounds a corner, doesn't come back. Mac and Gary go after him, but it's too late. They find no sign of him. Just his flashlight flickering on the floor. Then Gary is taken. There's a noise behind Mac, a wet tearing sound, and when he spins around, Gary's gone. In his place, something else, massive, shifting, grotesque, rises from beneath the floor. Blair, or what was once Blair, erupts through the planks, enormous now. Teeth, eyes, limbs that don't belong. It swallows the charge Mac was setting, cables and all. Mac doesn't hesitate. He grabs his last stick of dynamite, lights it, and hurls it into the thing's open maw. The blast tears through the foundation, ripping the base apart. Fire explodes outward, walls collapse, metal screams as it twists and burns, snow and ash fill the sky. Silence returns. Hours pass. From the smoke, MacReady stumbles through the wreckage. His breath clouds the air. His coat is half burned, his face raw from the cold. He sinks to the ground near the edge of the crater, the fire behind him the only light left. Then he hears footsteps. Childs appears, emerging from the dark like a ghost. He says he thought he saw Blair in the storm and went after him. Got lost. Couldn't find his way back until now. Mac stares at him. Silent. They sit across from each other, two silhouettes in the dying firelight. Neither one moves. Neither one lowers their guard. The question is there, unspoken. Are you still you? Childs doesn't ask it. Mac doesn't answer it. They both know it doesn't matter anymore. They're not getting rescued. There's no one coming. If the thing is still out there, it'll freeze, just like them. Mac opens a bottle, offers it. Childs takes a sip. They share the last drink of the world. Snow falls, quiet now. Darkness deepens, and the fire begins to die.